Last question of the morning. You did so well with Gary Barlow, so I thought, favourite George Ezra song?
Probably the one he's got at the moment. Is
What's that
Anyone
called?
for You. Anyone for You. Tiger Lily. Move to the City.
And you want to see the reaction.
Very good.
You want to see the reaction of George Ezra. I'm rightfully shut up now, so that's
done the
great.
promo for me. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
He's done it.
It's like a full-on endorsement from
Matt,
BBC Weather
yeah.
Department.
Look at that.
There you go. Matt, thanks very much. Brilliant.
So, George, welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So, yeah, and you're here in Manchester and Salford because you're part of tonight's big event.
Comic Relief.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So we came up last night, and we've got some bits throughout the day, but then, yeah, the kind of cherry on the cake is Comic Relief tonight.
What will you be doing?
Performing. I'll be performing Anyone for You. Yeah.
I think we can see a little bit now, and this is Let Me Be Your Light. Let's have a look.
I can love you, I could be anything you want of me, and in the darkness.
George, you're watching that. Do you know it's funny when we have artists here? Some people watch very closely their own work, and others kind of literally look the other way.
Which one was I?
Well, I thought you were looking, weren't
Yeah,
you?
I was. Because once I've kind of seen the video for the first time, I don't really see it again. So it's kind of like, oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah. And it was like, well, for all of us, it's been kind of had this quiet period. And then this year we've just thrown ourselves back into it all. So it's all of that. It's the videos and...
Yeah, and I know that part of the new stuff you'll be writing is reflecting on difficult times that everyone's had. How have things been for you?
Yeah, it's less about the reflecting on... More so what happened was, had the lockdown not come around, and despite all the difficulties that came with it, what it afforded me was been on this kind of whirlwind adventure for 8 years or so. And it was just an opportunity to kind of make sense of all of that. And also, and I speak to friends about this, and it's the idea of kind of asking yourself what it is you do, why you do it, how you do it, and all of those things. But when I sit and listen to the record, the album, the first half is this kind of festival feeling, you know, party, which is where we exist when we perform. Like, that's how performance feels for us. And then the second half is a little more reflective.
Do you think, having had that period of reflection, to just take stock, I suppose, do you think it's going to change the way you kind of go into touring and performing this time around? Because it is almost like life has been split, hasn't it, by this chasm of COVID?
Before and after.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I do a really good job, and have done in the past, of being very overwhelmed by the idea of touring and promoting, and find it quite an intimidating and scary thing.
Why?
Because it's like you make yourself vulnerable, I think, in some way. It's a strange thing to go and say, like, on the one hand, you want to write and perform, and then suddenly you're going like, oh, hey, I'm over here.
Look
and,
at me, aren't I great? You're going to love this.
And the strange thing is, when you're on stage, it is like, look at me. But you have control over that. Whereas it's everything that comes with it, you don't really have... I don't know, I felt like, am I doing this right? Am I, like, you know, a lot of the time. And so... had kind of built touring up as this intimidating thing in my head, but that was it over the time.
And that's changed now,
yeah,
has it?
hugely. I was just like, dude, snap out of it. You do you know what I mean? Shut up. You do the best thing in the world. You love this. That's the thing. It's like, and those two things can exist together. It's like you can love something and it be intimidating, but just go out and enjoy it.
Can I ask you, George, about your very distinctive singing voice, OK? Was there a moment in time, tell me this is a stupid question, when, I don't know, how old are you when that voice kind of popped up and you thought, I've got a thing here, or someone said to you, you've got a voice there, which sounds, it's got a really distinctive sound to it.
I don't really remember anyone saying anything. Certainly my family, more what I had was just they let me crack on and do it. I must have been about 14, but it was very deliberate. Like, I was trying to sound like people I liked. It was very fake when I was a teenager. And then you kind of learn your own voice. And even when I hear my first album to my second album, I hear my voice has changed. Because
You
just
don't
figuring it out.
talk like you sing.
No.
So, like, you know, like sometimes you meet someone I don't know, I suppose like Rod Stewart, and you'd think, I can hear when you talk what you sound like on your albums.
Yeah.
I mean, is that completely natural? Because you're like very soft-spoken.
Yeah, and I've got a really
contemplative.
high-pitched giggle as well. Like when I
Have
laugh.
you?
Yeah, I've got like a
Oh, you
high.
just did it.
Yeah, like my voice when I'm talking is different, but I feel now how I sing is just how I sing. It's what feels natural to me now.
But I suppose the whole point of performance, isn't it? You're performing, which is different from a kind of persona you
Also,
take.
when you start, you know, I was a kid when I started, and I think it's like an opportunity to be something else, or like, play around with being something else.
Let's talk a bit about Red Nose Day, because there's sometimes an element of chaos around in the best possible way.
Yeah.
How is that as a performer? Because presumably you like things kind of locked down. You want to know what you're doing and who's on before and all that kind of thing. Do you have to kind of just go with the flow?
Just go with the flow. Like my memory of Comic Relief as a kid was we would do kind of cake sales and the things in the evening with friends and family. So I've never played it, so that's exciting to do. If it's mayhem, that's fine. That's great.
Were you good at selling cake?
Good. I mean, was I good? I was a child. I think people were gonna, and it was like our family friends. I think I'd be really bad if we hadn't sold the cakes,
Didn't eat them.
No, one or two.
I feel it's funny, isn't it? We were just saying when you first sat down, I feel like you've been around for quite a long time.
Yeah.
And I mean that in the best possible way. But you were saying yourself, you started young. You were 17, 18 years old, and suddenly things kicked off.
Yeah. And like at the time, and this is like the way that it should happen, I guess, is you feel like you've got it figured out, and then you look back and you didn't at all. I just feel very fortunate, and that's part of what this record is because I've worked with the same people to make it, and you go, oh, this is a result of being given 10 years to explore one thing and improve on it, and I don't take that for granted. I feel like that's something that I feel lucky for having.
Well, that's a very good philosophical way to finish, George. Have a good night tonight, and thank you for getting up early, because you're probably going to have a late night.
Not at all. Thank you for having me.
Good to see you here. Thank you.
Lovely. And George, of course, performing on Comic Relief from 7 p.m. on BBC One. The new album is Gold Rush Kid, and it's going to be released on the 10th of June.